1,000 meters.
Yes.
Stop the madness, Teddy.
Yes.
400 bucks. You can't go wrong. This is crazy good. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be one of my top 3. Hi, Mr. Wonderful here in Cleveland, Ohio. For the first time at Teddy's new store, retail store. Very few new retail stores being built in the watch industry. They're very complex in terms of getting the rights and the licenses to sell watches, but Teddy's done it. So here we are. But you know, with Teddy, I always like to stay in tune with the new entry-level watches because he introduced me entry-level. I never used to look at them. And years ago when we started working together, 5 years ago now, Teddy, more.
Crazy to think about, yes.
I've always said never borrow money to buy a watch. So what do you do when you're just starting out? You want a nice piece on your wrist. Teddy's great at that. He finds the entry-level pieces. So the new challenge I gave him today, and I said, look, show me everything that's cool under $1,000. Now that is a tough challenge, but he came up. He really dug down deep, and he's got a whole bunch of new watches to show me that are under $1,000. So we're going to learn a lot today. Entry-level pieces. And by the way, in past years, I've bought some of these because I love the dials. I'm a dial guy. Doesn't matter if it costs $100,000, $300,000, $500,000. It sucks if the dial sucks. It's crazy to spend that kind of money if you don't like the dial. And sometimes you find a watch for under $1,000 that's amazing. You should buy that. So let's go through it, Teddy. What do you got for me now?
All right, Kevin. So again, I'm a big believer that everybody should be able to afford a nice watch.
Yeah.
So under $1,000. Now where I would kick it off here. So this is actually a newer piece, and we've done previous installments where we've looked at a lot of different things in the past. So this is all new blood here.
And new brands, right?
I mean, some repeat brands, some new brands. There's a good mix. So this is a brand that definitely we've talked about before.
Yeah.
This is SEIKO.
Oh,
so this is a new...
Not Grand SEIKO, SEIKO.
SEIKO, correct.
Yeah.
This is a new piece. Now this is a GMT watch.
Yeah.
They released these bicolor GMT watches around 2 years ago. Now this year, they released this. So this is more of this stainless steel fixed bezel, GMT, just over $400. That's the SSK 023.
Mechanical watch?
Mechanical watch, 4R34. So when that movement came out a couple of years ago,
Incredible, Teddy.
changed the game of mechanical GMTs. Now you could get these things under $500 consistently.
I've said it before, I'll say it again. SEIKO is such fantastic value for the money. Unbelievable value. Unbelievable. And this is a great example of it. That's beautiful. What's the price again?
It's right above $400. I think that is right around
for
$435.
400 bucks, you can't go wrong. This is crazy good. Great entry-level piece.
100 meters of water resistance.
Amazing.
And so you're pretty much covered. And you look at the history of SEIKO. I mean, many people think about their dive watches from the mid-20th century, but you can also look back to 1913, which was their first watch. It was more of a field inspiration. This kind of follows that field DNA with what they're going for from a design.
And of course, we've both been to the factory in Tokyo.
Their
That's
history.
a 39 millimeter?
Yes, that's just under 40, so it's around 39 and a half.
Okay.
This is known as their Speedtimer. So when you think of chronographs, way more parts, more complicated. Typically an entry-level Swiss mechanical chronograph starts around $2,000.
At least.
At least, yeah. I mean, that's the entry-level point. You're not going to find it for, unless you get something modular, but even then, you're spending over $1,000.
Yeah.
This is known as their Speedtimer. So the Speedtimer name goes back to 1969. SEIKO was one of the first brands to produce a automatic chronograph in 1969.
This is a 42 or something.
That's a 41, so it's in that range. So, but put it on your, if you want to put it on your wrist, you could take the RM off and you could put the SEIKO on.
Take the RM off. This is not an entry-level watch, Teddy.
That is not, that is not.
All right.
But it shows you can have some fun. Yeah. Button release, throw it on, 41 millimeters, but it wears smaller.
It does, actually. It's a very nice light look. Beautiful.
So it is quartz. Yeah. However, you're getting sweeping second-hand function, chronograph, and starting price around $700.
Fantastic. Great value.
Yes. And history to back up. I mean, SEIKO was one of the brands that pioneered chronographs in this era.
Beautiful, beautiful. And really nice clasp. That's a great piece. I mean, they really got it covered on entry level. They've done such a spectacular job. Beautiful.
There you are.
Fixed bezel.
Fixed bezel. Fixed bezel on
Got
that.
it.
Exactly. You got it.
All right.
Now another Japanese creative movement and approach. This is originally American roots. This is Bulova.
Oh.
So
Bulova's a great brand.
when they nail in their heritage, I mean, I think that's when they're at their best.
They've sold the company, right?
So it's owned by the Citizen Watch Corporation now. So that is
Japanese.
Japanese. Exactly. You got it. That is called their Jet Star. So this is a watch that was inspired from mid-20th century, brought back.
I mean, that is a great brand for under $1,000.
Well, that's around $500.
Unreal. Quartz watch?
That's a quartz, but it's not just any quartz. That's a high precision quartz movement. So that operates multiples of the standard
With
oscillation.
date,
of course.
I might
With
add.
a date,
Yeah.
so it's also high accuracy. You're probably plus or minus a few seconds a month in that. I think they quote 5.
Beautiful piece, beautiful polish, beautiful. Everything's beautiful. That's a fantastic. Listen, so far this could be a big winner. I mean, my goodness, that's crazy.
What I'm gonna have you do at the end is pick your top 3. I'd love to hear your top 3.
Yeah, I would
as we go
definitely. But I'm telling you right now, this is gonna be one of my top 3.
through. You just like the red? You like the red on that?
Well, I just like the look is. You see, what I'm looking for is if it's gonna be your first watch or an entry-level watch, how much versatility does it have? T-shirts, jeans, suit for work, right?
If you wear a lot of red and black, which I know you do,
Yeah,
that's
going to
working.
be this kind of maroon vibe with the red highlights. That's a beautiful piece. But let's not give it away.
One other thing
I haven't seen them all, so I can't guarantee top 3.
Another thing I'll call attention to, take a look at the sweep of that second hand on that. Look how smooth that is.
That's beautiful. For what's the price again?
It's right around $500.
It's ridiculous. That's gorgeous.
High precision quartz movement.
I mean, that's a beautiful piece. Again, versatility on wrist. Okay, nice.
So a watch that changed the game when this came out, it took the industry by storm for affordable watchmaking. It's a watch known as the PRX. So this was a watch that was based on a Tissot reference from the late 1970s. It has this integrated style design, and they made a one-to-one recreation in many ways outside of the case size.
Really?
First came out with a 40 millimeter.
Okay.
We looked at this in the past, but recently in the past year, they've now come out with the size of the original, which was 35 millimeters.
Which is getting popular on men's wrists these days.
I agree.
These smaller dials have really rocketed up the feeding chain lately.
So we have 2 different dial colors.
Yeah.
This is what we call the glacier blue. It's
Yeah.
a nice ice blue dial.
Yeah.
And we have full gold as well.
Not gold though.
Not gold, yes, it's gold PVD.
Yeah.
But these are watches that are right around $700.
And a brand I like, Tissot. You know, I have a history with Tissot from Switzerland years ago. One of the first watches I ever bought in Geneva when I was a young buckaroo there. It's Tissot brand's been around forever.
Powermatic movement, 80-hour power reserve,
Beautiful.
mechanical.
Yeah. Very classy. That's nice, but I think I prefer
Like
the
a little more
steel on
understated?
blue.
A little more understated?
A little steel on blue.
What do you think of that shade of blue?
You know, I love it. And it's also got a texture to it.
It does.
Let's get
Yeah,
the,
please take a look.
Yeah, very nice.
Kind of like this, in a simple.
PRX is 35, you said, eh?
Yeah, that's a 35. They also have a 40
What's
millimeter.
the 1853 reference?
That's when they were founded.
No kidding. See, that gives you an idea of how long some of these watch companies have been around.
And they're producing as many Swiss watches as anybody in the industry. I mean, they produce a ton of watches.
Yeah. That's a very, you know, what's interesting about this, it could also fit on a woman's wrist.
You could.
Yeah. Very nice, very nice. That's quite nice. Mechanical.
Mechanical, correct. 80-hour power reserve.
Automatic?
Automatic. Member of the Swatch Group, so they get a lot of
Price
upside.
again, one more time?
Just over $700 for that.
Crazy.
And that watch has just gone crazy. People
Which are you
adore it.
selling more of, the blue or the gold?
I think the blue is gonna. I'd say this is probably their most popular dial. I would say just because it's a bit more understated. I think you also have interest both with men and women for that size too, which is
great.
cool. And then one other watch from Tissot. This is their known as the Gentleman. So this came out before the PRX, and it's just a do anything type of watch. 100 meters of water.
As I call a full frame. It's a big dial. You can see it.
It's 40 millimeters, so it's not too large, but yes, you have
It's up there.
thinner bezel. I mean, for what it is, very large dial surface.
You know, people have to realize, you know, when you buy vintage Rolex and you're paying $150,000, they're 35s and 38s. They're tiny. They're tiny watches, including Pateks, by the way.
Oh, of course.
I mean, they're tiny little watches. People are paying $250,000, $300,000 for. It's a subtle look, but this is more modern and very, very attractive. You're right. Price point?
$800 to $900 for that one. And in addition, I mean, look at the faceting
Beautiful
on
polish.
the.
You know, the thing is, a black dial you can't go wrong with. It's sporty. It's also very elegant. Works with a suit of any color. Very clean look.
80-hour power reserve, mechanical movement on the inside. That has a silicone balance spring, so it's an enhanced movement for that price point.
Yeah.
If you want to take a closer look, you
Yeah,
can.
and I'm sure this is doing very well. Yeah, gorgeous. Wow.
Just simple. I mean, imagine you're looking for your first proper watch. Nice Swiss-made watch.
Yeah. Powermatic 80. Silcom.
So what they're doing is taking an ETA base caliber and modifying it to extend the power reserve to 80 hours versus typically it's 38 hours for that base.
That's a great piece. Again, falling under $1,000, fantastic.
Yes.
Now let's get into something a little more eclectic. I see some new dials here that look very interesting.
So the next one is a dial that it's actually looking back to World War II. So this is a brand known as Laco. So there's type A style dials and there's type B style dials. So type B is going to have a different orientation of the hours and minutes. So the hours in this case are on the inside, the minutes are on the outside. That was done with intention.
So you can see right away by the inside what the hour is and the minute on the outside.
Exactly. So they want to make the minutes the most important aspect.
Very interesting. I mean, that's actually a very interesting dial. And the price point?
That one is under $500. So it's in the $400 range. I mean, it's insane. And they're also
It's an automatic watch.
It's an automatic watch. Now, how they're able to do this, they have two different tiers. You have first Miyota calibers on the inside, but then you also have a little bit higher up, they do Swiss-made movements as well. That'll get over $1,000. But in that case, you're getting a Miyota Japanese movement. But if you're looking for an authentic Navigator Flieger-style watch,
very interesting.
entry-level point.
Beautiful. Love it. That's a big find, Teddy. That's a big find.
They're a cool brand, Laco sweet.
Yeah, very great. Okay. Next on the hit parade.
So you're familiar with Hamilton. You own a Hamilton,
I
right?
do own a Hamilton, and actually you brought me in a Hamilton. I wear it all the time in cities like San Francisco, London, England, Los Angeles, where it's just not safe to wear a watch.
You have the bronze case, Khaki Field Mechanical.
I remember we bought it together in the downstairs at Booker.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Killer watch.
And it has a red band on it.
Because, of course, it is you, by the way. Yes.
Yeah.
So this is their Murph. This is going to be a watch inspired by, I believe it was the 2014 film Interstellar. So if you've ever seen that film, this actually had an important part to the plot. The first that came out was a few years ago. It was at 42 millimeters. That was based on the prop watch.
Yeah.
Now this is a 38 millimeter case.
Which is more their style these days.
That is what the standard Khaki Field Mechanical usually is positioned as. Like your watch is 38 millimeters.
Price point?
That is just under $900.
And they don't do a brown and anything else except steel, right?
Steel for that one, for just the Murph. Now there are other different, titanium, bronze, as you know, for different Khaki Field options. For this one though, stainless steel. This is based off of that Christopher Nolan film. People love it. They were getting so many requests. 42 millimeters
And
is
you
too large.
sell Hamilton here in the store.
We do.
This is it's a beautiful piece. Also a very interesting dial color.
Has cathedral handset, black dial.
Yeah.
It also has this, and yours is more of traditional military roots.
Yeah.
This has kind of this dressed up appearance with the cathedral hands.
It's a fieldy vibe with a more of a dress element to it. $900, beautiful. Very nice. And I'm a big Hamilton fan now because I wear my piece so much. That's great. Like it a lot.
Moving along to a dive watch. So this is also from Switzerland. This is a brand you may not be as familiar with. It is a Swatch Group brand, but this brand is, I would say, very much positioned around utility and being able to take a beating.
It's got a bit of a flair on the dial though.
Yes. So this is a brand called Certina. So Certina, it's a member of the Swatch Group. They've been around since the 1800s.
Yeah.
Amazing value for money. So these are under $1,000. This is their PH 1000M. So it's about a 43 millimeter case. They also are known for, in the mid 20th century, they came up with this system called the DS concept, which is a double security system. So it houses the movement inside of a
Screw-down crown.
screw-down crown. I mean, that's 1,000 meters of water resistance. I mean, that's no joke.
1,000 meters.
Yes.
Stop the madness,
Yes.
Teddy.
Yes.
For a
And then-
watch under $1,000?
That is correct. And this
I'm
whole,
down at 1,000 meters all the time.
yeah, I'm sure you are. Your head is in the clouds, though. That's where it's at. But so this too, with the bezel, it's pretty cool. So when you were using this back in the day, I mean, this is your elapsed time bezel. This was a life or death type of instrument you needed to use. You needed to time up this indicator with your minute to time your dives.
Right.
Because that is directly going to tell you how long you've been underwater,
Yeah.
so you know. This, to ensure that it doesn't get knocked, you have to actually press the bezel down to rotate.
Because it's life or death.
Yes.
I've never seen that before.
Now we have diving computers, doesn't really,
Look at that.
So you push it down. So that, imagine you're underwater.
And only one direction.
Only one direction.
Yeah.
So that's how you
very
get knocked.
important. If you knocked it, you'd kill yourself. Yeah. Fantastic.
So they have their inside, they still use that DS system on the inside, so it's housing the
Beautiful
movement,
piece.
resisting
Very,
shock.
very interesting. And a kind of a fashiony, stylish, kind of a bubbly, bubblicious look to it.
I love the hands. You have the minute hand also, because you're talking about that time-lapse bezel. You need to see that really easily.
It's a really interesting dial. Very kind of unique. And
Under
price
$1,000.
again?
Under $1,000. It's in the 900 range.
900, fantastic. All right, one more.
One more. So this is from Citizen. We've been talking about Citizen quite a bit. We talked about Miyota, which is the movement production.
Doing some very eclectic colors on their dials these days.
They are.
Yeah.
Now this is a watch known as the Tsuyosa. So this is their integrated steel sports design. Comes in around $500 starting price. You typically can sometimes find a little bit cheaper. It's automatic piece. You have the Cyclops. That's a cool new kind of gradient dial.
Look at that crazy, crazy color. It's beautiful, kind of a bluish aqua, kind of tails off at the edge of the watch, you know, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, that's fantastic. Price?
That is just under $500. They start around $450, and then you can typically find them
I
for a
noticed
little
the
bit cheaper.
crown is off-centered.
Yes.
What's the deal on that?
So what you'll find with a lot of dive watches, and also Citizen is one of the brands that pioneered this along with SEIKO, is when you were underwater or you're wearing a watch, you don't want to, when you turn back your wrist, to have it be digging in. So part of it is just a design, but it's also a way to just make it on.
It's very clean.
I
mean, it gives it a kind of a unique look to it, no question about it. I like it. So these are one of your best ever in terms of bringing forth watches and dials under $1,000. I mean, really. So
I have a question for you now.
Sure.
I want you to pick your top three. You can only pick three. Rank them 3, 2, 1.
Yeah. I mean, this is going to be tough because there's some great ideas here. Really great ideas.
The RM doesn't count.
No,
It's on the table, but it doesn't count. I know you like that one.
This was interesting. This is really, so 3. You know, I want diversity of dial, obviously. I'm not going to tell you which is number 1. I'm just going to pull 3 out of the basket.
Okay.
So to say, you know, if I was just choosing 3 pieces, what would really catch my eye here? It's going to be tough because
I feel like you were committing early that you already had one of your choices.
I saw somebody. I mean, it's still up there. It's still up there. But I got to tell you, it's really. I'm going to have to choose between these 2 because I love them both.
So you have a SEIKO and then you have a Bulova there.
Oh, that's tough. Okay. You know, I love this. It's a great value, but I'm going to go with the Bulova because I just love what they've done with the dial. So that's one of them.
That's one.
This blew me away.
You like the Laco?
Yeah, I loved it. I loved it from the beginning because it's so interesting and unique. And last, and this is tough. It's really tough because I like a lot of these, but I just thought this was so unique.
Ah, Certina.
Yeah.
So that's new. That's new appearance on your channel too.
Yeah,
so
it is.
It's cool.
And I'm going to tell you right now, Teddy, that's number 1.
That's number 1.
Yeah.
Certina.
Well, I tell you again, as being a dial guy, I have nothing like it. The story's great, dial's great, conversation piece, 1,000 meters, that whole thing. Price is amazing. So that's number 1. This is number 2.
Laco's number 2.
Number 3 is this Bulova with this fantastic value and a great looking dial. So, you know, I would say right away, you've got your sporty, fieldy vibe here. Both of these could go with the tux.
You'd wear the Certina with the tux?
I would. I think that dial is absolutely nuts. It's sport, but it's got a really interesting look to it that is, again, a conversation starter. This bulbous kind of thing is unique. You don't see that very often. So, yeah, I would wear that with a tux. It's almost a James Bond.
There's someone who's off camera that's their personal watch, so you're making them very happy with all this
because I mean,
glowing review.
It's pulling in that whole 007 Omega vibe. And but it's doing something more because it's got some very interesting style to it. Again, being a dial guy, I've seen everything 1,000 times. Haven't seen this. So anytime you show me something under 1,000 I've never seen before at any price, of course it's going to make it in the top 3, and it deserves to be. This is just a great idea for the whole different shtick. Love that. You know, with the hours inside and the minutes on the outside, very cool, and a great look. Conversation starter. But, you know, I just have this emotional tie to Bulova brand. And here they are coming back out under Citizen with some really good looking stuff.
This is when they're at their best. I mean, stuff like this, $500.
I mean, this is a resurgence. I mean, you know, Bulova, if you think about the 60s around New York City, that all the signs up, they were associated with sports events. I mean, they were a big brand, and I'm glad to see it's coming back. Beautiful work on the look of this. And of course, you can't say I can't wear that with a tux.
I'll let that one slide. It looks good with the whole ensemble you got going on today, huh?
I always look good. I mean, come on.
All right. It's a way to take a compliment and really take it.
And then, of course, everything has to go to red band. It's going to be complicated on this one because this is a great, but they'd all look good with red bands. Teddy, spectacular. Keep up the good work. Keep doing the research for me. I'll come back After you get another set, we'll come back and go through it again. They're all fantastic deals, great entry-level pieces. Remember, do not borrow money to buy a watch. Buy one of these. You're gonna look great, and you're sub $1,000. Some of these are 500 bucks. Teddy, thank you so much.
Always a pleasure, Kevin.
Yep. Take care, my friends.